Association of Ghana, the GALCA, and the Ghana Olympic Committee,
Yeah.
and other related stakeholders. And out of the conversations, we cataloged the challenges that our country has faced over time relative to sports. And then, on the basis of that, we have proffered these, that when mandate is given to us, we would enhance the sports sector with these 10 proposals. Number one, we are suggesting that we will pay an allowance to Premier League players, and also for Division 1 and Division 2 and Coles teams. We would create some level of stimulus packages that will ensure that they play competitive soccer. What thinking went into this first proposal? You will recall that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has been talking about building our Black Star around local talents. And clearly so, to build the Black Stars around local talents would mean that we would have to invest in the local talents, and in this instance, the local leagues. We looked at, we took into consideration the fact that if we don't have a competitive Premier League, tendencies are that we will not get the best of talent to feed into the Black Stars.
Yeah.
So we prioritized the human resource within the space of the Premier League, that's the players. We do hear our colleagues from the other side say they would give bourses.
Yes.
Now, I am a teacher of management. There's a given understanding that for any entity to grow, there's that which we call the 7 M's. You need men, you need materials, you need money, you need the milieu, you need machines, you need moment, which we call time. Of all of those M's, the most important is man. So I give an example. You work here at Starr. You may have beautiful infrastructure, everything may be nice, but if you are not motivated, this radio station will not work effectively. So we have considered putting priority on the human resource, that is the players of the Premier League. And the deeper thinking that went into this decision also is the fact that gradually we are seeing the best of the talents within Ghana getting out to lesser known countries like Togo, Kosovo, in recent times Rwanda, to ply their soccer trade. The question you and I should ask ourselves as Ghanaians is why any meaningful soccer player in Ghana will want to go to Kosovo or Ethiopia
or
Rwanda. And clearly so, it is because their condition of play here at home is not good. Whilst we do not have anything against player flight or player exodus, we think that if our players would move at all, they should go to very renowned countries so that it can help in improving Ghana's GDP by way of their remittances. So that is one of the key issues that went into the thinking relative to Manifesto Proposal 1.
So you talk about, investing heavily in the players, right?
Yes.
Making the league attractive.
Clearly so.
So you're going to be paying the players.
Yes, we intend.
So is it that all the teams that are playing in the Ghana Premier League,
clearly so,
they are going to be given a monthly payment
allowance? So we call it.
How much do you plan to give to them?
Well, so we are in discussion with the Ghana Olympic Committee. Just 2 days ago, we had our second meeting with them so that we can have the formalities and have them right. Now, what we hate to do is a knee-jerk approach. We don't want to implement a thing that within a short period of time we'll have to come back to the drawing table to relook at that again. No. So we are consulting the appropriate stakeholders, and GALCA is the body that oversees all of these Premier League clubs. So those are the conversations, and within time we'll come out with a blueprint which we'll implement when power is given to us.
So you've not decided on just how much yet
Clearly
you're going to be giving to the players.
But we are very clear in our mind that we'll be paying them a monthly allowance.
So every single player of every single team
Clearly
will
so.
receive a certain monthly allowance.
Yes, every month. The thinking also is that a lot of these Premier League players do not earn a good fortune. Some earn as low as 400 Ghana cedis a month. So you'd ask yourself, if you are such a player, would you be able to give your best to the team? No, you would make time to do other jobs that would give you money. So we are complementing or supplementing what they already get, although minimal. Number two, most of them are also not paid on time. What I mean here is that sometimes their salaries, although it's meager, still delayed for some 2, 3, or 4 months.
Yeah.
But you can trust government to be consistent with the monthly allowances. At least that can take care of their basic needs, nutrition, and others, till the salaries are paid by the clubs.
So is there a minimum, that you're looking at?
Well, I
Or
don't want,
because you've not decided
yeah,
yet,
absolutely.
there's no minimum
and
that
I
you're
don't want
working
to
with.
use. I don't want to do discretionary conversation because I work with a team, and the team is consulting.
Right.
And the first point of consultation is GALCA, and then we've had a first line conversation with them. They are supposed to give us a blueprint. We would also apply our mind as a political party, hoping that when we are given the power to govern, would implement a strategy that is supported by the players, supported by GALCA, and also supported by what? Government.
And I mean, we know that, of course, clubs are supposed to, work, they're supposed to become attractive, they are supposed to make money so that they can pay their players and pay their players well.
Yes.
So apart from giving, I would call this one support for the clubs, right, to be able to give to their players.
Clearly so.
What other things are there in place to ensure that the league stands, that the league becomes that attractive, that the clubs actually will be beginning to rake in money, let's say from supporters coming in to come and watch their football matches and all of that, because the clubs need to make money. So what measures are being put in place to enable the clubs to take advantage of, to make money?
Well, the starting point for this, like I said, is a human resource.
Yes.
When you have a good playership, tendencies that there will be high levels of funding and sponsorship would be what? Enhanced. And if this happens, then clubs can start cashing in some money for their teams. So we think that an investment in the human resource naturally will attract other stakeholders into the Premier League, and that would enhance some level of opportunities for the clubs to make some money. That is the private part of it for their investments.
So, I mean, one of the other problems that we have, is how unattractive, and you've talked about the human resource, so if the players are playing well and all of that, but the league, the local league seems to be very unattractive. People are not interested, as they were some time back, in going to the stadium to go and watch soccer. I mean that now, even when there is a super clash, when there's Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko, we are not even getting the numbers, like would want to. So in terms of that, what is the plan? How does the NDC's manifesto address that problem?
Well, a lot of clubs, for a lot of investment to get into clubs, sometimes you need some kind of partnership from the private sector. What we have realized as a political party over time is that most of the clubs do not open up their books for scrutiny. And if you are an investor, for instance, Fred Awaah, I want to invest in Starr FM. Clearly, I'm not just throwing money into your organization. I want to see what can be in there for me.
Yeah.
I also want to see the trajectory in the past. Did you make losses or did you make profits? So our thinking and investigations are pointers to some fact that a lot of the clubs do not transparently open up their books, and with that, they don't attract private investors. So if you look at the preamble to our sports manifesto, I think it's preamble number 3. We are saying that we would ensure sports governance and administration and ethics. So the ethics part of it would cure this, because sports ethics would involve letting people like transparency, issues relative to good governance.
Yeah.
And if government is going to inject some fund into the premier clubs, clearly would ask for transparency and accountability, because this is a stimulus package that we are going to give to the sporting sector. And government's business is not profit, it's societal welfare. So we are thinking that we should enhance the welfare of the Premier Leagues. To be able to do that, there would be modalities to ensure that we are not putting our money at the wrong place, and also to boost private sector confidence so that other stakeholders would come in and invest in the Premier League. So that is our cure to the issues of the Premier League not being attractive.
And what about, I mean, moving from the Premier League, of course, that's the prime one. Then there is the Division 1, there's the Division 2, the Division 3, then the Colts, football. Colts football seems to be, I don't know. Colts football used to be very active. We all know Colts football used to be very active, and some incredible talent, was unearthed from Colts football. But the current state of Colts football is really nothing to write home about. And one would say that's probably one of the things that is also affecting the quality even of the league, that we have. So in that regard, what is the plan of the NDC?
Well, so I think that we have, it has found impression in our manifesto. But let me also just add quickly that when I was younger, Colts football was excessively attractive.
Yeah.
And we all aspired to be part of the Colts team. Unfortunately, I didn't play up to that level. Yes, so you would recall the Milo games.
Yes.
Valco games.
Yeah.
All of these were intentionally done to ensure that the level of Colts soccer within the nook and cranny of our country was enhanced. I recall whilst I was in the Bolgatanga Secondary School as a teenager, our colleagues who played for the Colts teams had special breakfasts. Whilst we would go drink porridge, cocoa, in the dining hall, they were drinking Milo, milk, and all of that. So clearly, it is to say that when you give some level of priority, which the NDC is bent at, what's the proof that we are bent at this? Successive governments have always added sports, the sports sector or ministry, with other sectors of ministry. But we have decoupled them. We say, no, we do not want a Ministry of Youth and Sports. We just want the Ministry of Sports. That's why our manifesto captures sports standing alone. So we are injecting a lot of priority in the sports sector. And when you look at point number 7, establish sports centers of excellence in the northern, middle, and southern zones in collaboration with existing universities and the private sector. The intention here is to ensure that we harness talents right from the beginning, and this is where the Colts teams come in. Now, we are also not doing it devoid of the fact that we intentionally know that Ghana is divided into 3 geographical zones. Yeah. So we are doing this and knowing very well also that when the enabling environment is right, private sector will also have an interest. So we are going to collaborate with private sector, universities, that is academia, because sports has now become a product of research and government. So this tripod of academia, government, and then the private sector is intended to enhance that these centers are established within the 3 zones of Ghana to promote, amongst others, Colts soccer.
Okay. So a lot of the, when we talk about sports in this country, right, a lot of focus seems to be on the Black Stars.
Okay.
It's all about the Black Stars.
Okay.
Spending money on the Black Stars. When it comes to the payment of bonuses of the Black Stars, it doesn't delay. When it comes to paying appearance fee, all of those things, it doesn't delay. The para team recently, does well for Ghana. They actually win trophies for Ghana, and they come, nobody is paying attention to them. They have per diems and they have bonuses and whatever that is supposed to be paid to them is not paid. Individuals donate to them, and the sports ministry says that they should come and account for their money, and all of that. But if it were the Black Stars that had achieved that feat of the Paralympic team, I mean, prompt payment of everything is Black Stars, to the neglect of the other sports. So we are not focusing too much on track and field, and athletics. We are not focusing too much on maybe beach soccer, the amputee team who are also playing soccer. Everything is football and the Black Stars. Is that going to be the same modus operandi of the NDC? Because, since 82, the Black Stars have not brought us any trophy. They've only won silver medal at AFCON.
Well, I think that this conversation is good, and you should give credit to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, because it was under him that that credit came. And even the issue of, the World Cup, even the issue relative to the issue of the AFCON, it was the last time we won was in 1982.
82, yes.
And that we can also take credit because it was under Jerry John Rawlings. I just think that we should have this. All right, so we'll move we'll move away. You made references. I just thought that we could have some bite on it here.
That's fine.
So clearly, the issue of concentrating solely on football to the detriment of others, those conversations came up strongly when we had our stakeholder engagements.
Yeah.
And then the issue of para sports. They were there and they told us their own story. We met
how they had to struggle, go to Kantamanto to go and buy the jerseys that they used.
Clearly so. And now they have equipment sitting at the harbor. They are not able to clear. They brought up all of those issues. So as a listening government, as a listening political party, their conversations and others found...
You're anticipating that you're already in government.
Clearly so. Yeah. Those conversations found impression on the point number 5 of our manifesto. So you'd see, for clarity, I want to read it. Ensure equitable investments in other national teams, such as women's football teams, para sports, juvenile teams, and other competitive sports. So clearly the thinking here is that while soccer is our heartbeat, there is the thinking that we cannot focus solely on soccer to the detriment of other sports.
We're not even focusing too much even on athletics.
Athletics,
yeah. A lot of our national athletes, we seem not to be nationally investing in them, and it's the resources of other countries. They've gone to school in other countries, sponsored in other countries. Some of them are training on their own and all of that, but then they go and represent us, and we've not necessarily made any proper investments in them.
That's why
there's potential there.
That's why we prioritize them under point number 8. Support national athletes more consistently to compete internationally. Now we have done a little bit of some SWOT analysis about the sporting sector in Ghana, and we have noted sports activities that we are not giving so much attention to, which can inure largely to the benefit of the people of Ghana. Statistically, sports contributes 1.4% to Ghana's GDP. It does tell us that if we inject some level of energy in that sector, there can be high rates of employment, the GDP can be enhanced, and then this the first bullet of the Premier League. If we do it very well, rather than our players playing in Togo and Ethiopia, we can have them playing competitive soccer in Europe and other parts of the world. And that now invariably turns into remittances to families. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then that also injects foreign exchange into our country that enhances the calculations of our GDP. So we are deliberate about every point that we have picked up here, intended to ensure that Ghana's economic development can benefit also from the sport sector.
So we are sure that there's going to be a certain focus on the other sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've seen the example of Botswana, where Tebogo, is winning gold in the 200 meters. The first African to do so. And when you listen to his story and you look at what Botswana has done, there has been a deliberate and consistent investment, not from others, not from a university he attended in the US, which made him who he is, from the government, from the nation, in him and in athletics, and now they are beginning to see the results that it is yielding. In Ghana we have a high jumper. I'm pretty sure you know of her. A high jumper, who is the best high jumping student in all the universities in the United States of America, not just one university, all the universities at that level. So this is a high level performing athlete. And this is somebody who decided that I'm not going to naturalize for the US, which she could have easily done and should have had all the support that she would get, but I'm going to naturalize for Ghana. And the frustrations that she's going through. And this is the best among all the high jumpers in the United States of America at the college level. She's the best. But this is where we are. And we seem not to care about the potential that people like this have to put Ghana on the map.
So that's the kind of thinking that went into our current manifesto. Now, you would realize that over time, much as sports has been given some attention, It hasn't been decoupled from other sectors like youth. So largely what we hear is youth and sports. But because we want to give a strategic focus to the sector,
get sports.
we just get sports. And clearly that is a thinking that the flag bearer himself has bought. And if you hear conversations relative to our manifesto, a lot of times he would make a comment or two about sports. It tells you that sports is high on the menu when we come to, when God gives us the power to come into government early next year. So these are things that we are taking to heart, and then there is a standing committee that has worked consistently for 3 years on the sports sector. I'm just a single member of that committee. And this committee is made up of former ministers of sports, former football administrators, former referees, persons who have played in diverse sports.
Yeah.
So it is to tell you that the investment in sports is just not going to only be financial, but there will be some level of human resource, a renowned human resource within the sports fraternity that will guide the process.
Let's talk about our national stadia.
Okay.
I mean, currently as we speak, there's only one, FIFA recognized stadium that is fit for purpose, and that's the one in Kumasi. Apart from that, all the other, the Esipon Stadium, the Tamale Stadium, the Accra Sports Stadium, and all of that, seemingly are not fit for purpose. Maintenance is abysmal. There are other, regions that do not have, any proper sporting, facilities. You go to the Sunyani Coronation Park, for example, it's an eyesore. What is the plan of the NDC according to your manifesto for national stadia?
Well, so the first impression relative to stadia is captured under point number 2, and that the wording itself would tell anyone that it is a commitment we want to embark on immediately we come into government. For the purposes of your listeners, I want to read. Undertake emergency refurbishment. Emergency is underlined.
Emergency refurbishment
of pitches, tracks, and other facilities at our national stadia in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, Cape Coast, and secondly, to meet FIFA standards. In other words, Olympic standard stadia. Now, none of, from the perspectives of the National Democratic Congress, we do think that none of them, you are at least exempted the Kumasi Sports Stadium.
That's the one that we know now, that we can play matches at. But even there, there are serious problems.
Challenges. There is no security zone at the Kumasi Sports Stadium. No, security zone would entail, when our soccer stars are getting into the stadium with a bus, it's supposed to be a route where they can enter
without any
interference or harm or danger. But currently, the Kumasi Sports Stadium doesn't have that. The tendency is that an evil person can harm a footballer before the commencement of a match. It's very high. That is why usually the designers of stadia make room for the security zones. Our stadia seem to have such challenges. So our thinking is that when given the mandate to rule the people of Ghana, inshallah, what we will do, one of the first things we will do is to tackle this, because sports infrastructure is a key component of developing sports within any country. And we do think that if the facilities do not meet the global standards, we may just also be causing injury to the players that use such facilities. Secondly, we also intend to build new stadia in the regions that do not have existing stadia. Now, there is the understanding that our country runs a system of decentralization. This simply means, in the layman's word, that the resources of the state must be used for all of the people of the state. So if there's one stadium in Accra, Greater Accra, another in Ashanti, Northern region, what about the newly created 6 regions? Is it the case that we don't care about sports in those? What about the existing regions like my own place, Bolgatanga?
Yeah.
What do we do with such? clearly we are saying as a government, we think that what is in the national kitty should belong to all. So we will make efforts at establishing global standard stadia in all of the regions so that we can attract talents from the nook and cranny of our country, Ghana.
But the immediate thing is renovating or refurbishing
absolutely.
Existing. What is the maintenance plan?
Well, so the maintenance plan,
because we know maintenance is a problem. It's always been a problem.
Correct. So
sometimes floodlights are going off and we can't turn them on and all of that.
Yeah. So here again, I sit here as a teacher of public sector management. So the thinking that government should wholly take care of everything, that orientation about public sector management is fading away. We do think that public sector, government has its strength, but the public sector, the private sector also has some level of strength that we can collectively partner to inure to the benefit of the country. So we are thinking of our public-private partnerships, where you bring in the private sector to partner with government to ensure that there is good maintenance. Then also we ensure that we recoup not part but entirely proceeds relative to this stadia. Government gets that which belongs to it, and then the private sector would also have its part. Now, in all of this, remember that when the private sector comes in, they also help government in a way because they create employment for young people. So that is our plan for maintenance.
For maintenance
of the stadia.
Of the stadia.
Clearly so. I think that I should also use this to the privilege of your platform to also tell spectators or users of the stadia that we always will say that the stadia are for government. Government has built it, but that money is your own money.
It's our money that was used to build it.
Clearly so. So if you come and then yourself, your attitudes are inconsistent to the maintenance culture of the stadia, then it is just like putting in money, destroying the structures, and then you pay taxes and would use to maintain again. So you don't push gates and then break them. You don't dump things into water closets that blocks them.
Breaking chairs.
Absolutely,
and all of that.
Clearly so. So I think that it's a collective effort from us as a government, from spectators, that is the entirety of the people of Ghana, and then the investors who are in the private sector. So whilst we talk about investments, direct funding, we should be also investing in education. So sports education, orientation of spectators on how to use the stadium.
So, I mean, coming back to one of the issues that you touched on, identifying talent, right? And we know that through schools, a lot of talents can be identified, to come up through all kinds of talents, can be identified. When we were in school, there were people who were very famous because we knew that they were the fastest people when we are going for interco among schools or, that these people are the fastest. This person from maybe Accra Academy, this person from Achimota School. I mean, I remember that when I was in Achimota School, there was one Lord Roger Tete, who was a 400-meter runner, 100-meter runner. I think he's doing something else now, but this is somebody who had a lot of potential. I think he was the second fastest in the entire country. So unearthing talent through our schools system. I mean, the likes of the Asamoahs and the Michaelasians, from St. Augustine's, from Accra Academy and all of that. So from soccer, from athletics, all various sporting disciplines. What is the proper blueprint, for that? Because that helps us eventually.
Okay, thank you.
School sports.
Thank you.
Primary school sports, secondary school, now senior high school sports, tertiary education sports, and the premium. Because in other countries, high school sports is big.
Okay.
You go to the United States, high school sports is big. College sports is big before you come to the national leagues. What is the plan?
Here again, you made reference to one Lord who was your generation of an athlete.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of my days in Bogatanga Secondary School when we had the likes of Ayinte Ayimbono. Yeah, he was one handsome, tall-looking young man who almost all of the races, short and long distances, he was noted all over the region.
Yeah.
And clearly it was a product of school sports. So did that find impression in our manifesto? Yes. So school sports is just one of the our strategies for the talent hunt. So if you have our manifesto, you can make reference to point number 4 or aspiration number 4. Build more multi-purpose sports facilities to promote regional sporting events and inter-schools competitions as part of our talent development policy. So you see, we think that the talent development should be holistic. Holistic in the sense that much as we understand that school sports can be one of the avenues for developing talents. We also know that community sports also holds a good prospect for harnessing talents for our national teams. So these have found impression in what we captured in point number 4. The thinking usually is that people would see the details in the manifesto, but that's that which we call the implementation plan. The implementation plan details what we will flesh out the details of what we have put in.
What you put there and what you want to do.
Yeah, clearly so. So the implementation plan has a more detailed orientation or explanation of what you see reflected in our manifesto.
What you say to someone who says, okay, I mean, you are putting all of these things in your manifesto, you know, you are going to do all of this in the sports, you give players money, you refurbish stadia, you invest in unearthing talent, there's a focus on coach football, and all of that. The NDC has been in government before, you know, especially under Mahama from 2012 all the way to 2016. Some of these things didn't happen. Now you want to come back. How can people who are lovers of sports, those in the sports fraternity, trust that an NDC administration can do all the things and will do all the things that you are saying you do as far as your manifesto is concerned?
Well, I should first of all establish that governance is about priorities. For every government that comes into power, much as you develop all of the sectors of the economy, you give priority to certain sectors depending on the orientation of the government at the time. For the National Democratic Congress, we are saying that this is the time for sports. And you can see that from the fact that we have decoupled it and made it a stand-alone ministry in our manifesto. It is not like other of our colleagues that have lumped sports together with creative arts like 3 in 1. It just tells you right up in issue that one political party wants to focus on sports, another wants to focus on sports together with creative arts and others within one ministry. And clearly, when you have more than one, it means that the thinking would be diverse and even the resource dissemination. So clearly, we are committed to it. And also, I think that historically, our investment in sports has inured much to the benefit of the people of Ghana compared to other governments. Why do I say so? I guess when I entered in our conversations, you indicated that we won the AFCON 4 times. Did you say that? The African Cup of Nations.
Yeah.
We won.
And the last time we won was in 82.
Two.
Yeah, since 82, we haven't won again.
So clearly, we take pride in the 82 victory because it was then under the PNDC. NPP has no record of winning the AFCON. Now, when
but
they
have a record of qualifying to the World Cup.
But when we have conversation relative to in leadership, we don't reward.
Some will say some of the best Black Stars teams that we've seen, you know, has been during that era.
No, but clearly, so at what stage did they get to between the NDC and the NPP? Which of us went higher or furthermost in the when we got to the World Cup?
But even in 82, it wasn't NDC.
It was
PNDC.
Clearly so.
And it wasn't National Democratic Congress. It was Provisional National Defense Council.
Yeah.
But that's a military government.
No.
The NDC is a National Democratic Congress. So under NDC or MPP, there hasn't been any trophy for the Black Stars for Ghana.
Granted. We can dash that. We can just equalize on that.
Yes.
But now let's go to the World Cup.
Yes.
2010. we took the Black Stars to the quarterfinals under His Excellency Fifi Atta Mills. And no government in the history of our country has ever done that. Now, let's leave that because there are other justifications for what I have just said.
Right.
Now, you go to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Runner-ups 1993, Jerry John Rawlings. 1997, we go to the semi-finals, Jerry John Rawlings. 1999, quarterfinals, Jerry John Rawlings. 2009, we became world champions.
Yeah, World Cup.
Yes.
2009.
Yes, Atta Mills.
Professor Mills.
Yes. We placed third in the year 2013, John Dramani Mahama. In 2015, round of 16, John Dramani Mahama. So the evidences are there to show you that we are committed, we have been more committed to our national teams than other governments. Why do I say so? Now, anytime a government prioritizes commitment in the human resources of any group, in this case, sportsmen, then you see laurels. Much as we think that it is important to build infrastructure, we also think that the time has come that whilst we build the infrastructure, we also commit to the human resources.
Yeah.
And we have done this consistently. Perhaps if you permit me just a minute, I would also want to inform our listeners that the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, in 1989, we got to the first round. You would say it's under PNDC, so we want to leave that for purposes of equalization. In 1991, we won the World Championship. It was under Jerry John Rawlings.
Still PNDC. But Jerry John Rawlings, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
1993, runner-ups, Jerry John Rawlings.
That was NDC.
Correct. World champions, 1995. I want you to say whether it was under PNDC or NDC.
That one is NDC.
So those claims come to us. Runner-up, 1997, Jerry John Rawlings. Third place, 1999. 2005 first round, NPP. So you can see their efforts took us just to the first round. Then we come to NDC again, 2017, quarterfinals under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So there is ample evidence.
So what were the efforts that the government put into to get to this? So are we saying that it's because of a certain government in power and what the government did that took the team there, or it was just the coaching, of the team through maybe the efforts of the GFA and who they decided to appoint and the certain mentality of the team that took them there? Do we attribute it to the government that is in power?
Well,
what exactly did the government do to push the team to achieve those things?
Clearly,
what did the government do?
Clearly, as a researcher, if there is consistency of a certain results, then you can infer that there was a certain level of investment tied to such results. So if you look at it, and then trends are that a lot of these laurels were won under a given political party, we can't say that it was by chance. Clearly, this is not a research class, but the facts are pointers to the fact that anytime the NDC is in government, sports, especially soccer, is enhanced.
Sports, especially soccer,
is enhanced.
It's enhanced.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're still listening to the Morning Star. I will have to start wrapping up our conversation at this point because Dr. Awaah has another appointment that he has to get to. So, I mean, I'll take your final words, on this to those who are listening.
So the final word may be a bit long, but they will be final. Okay. So I think that beyond this, we also have provisions for retired sports persons that we would create a career path for them. That after your playing life, either as a boxer, footballer, gymnast, etc., rather than just going home and then waiting that monies get out of hand and then you get onto the streets of Accra and we see media reports, former footballer is now destitute, we are saying no, that should be a thing of the past. We should give you some career training in your field, either locally or abroad, so that you come back to help us improve the human resource base of our sporting activities in Ghana. You could be employed as a coach in the secondary schools, so that your skill, knowledge, and attitudes would inure to the benefit of the younger generation.
Right.
We are also proposing a pension scheme. Just as I work at the university and at age 60, I may be going home and still having a pension we think that it's high time we start that with our sports person. On that note, I think I am done with my final words, but I want to say a bit in house. Yeah, down why in a house I wonder ke Jim Fira and Muke Yinga Fira NDC da sports muka ce nde kuka nganle ba mu nasara muka tanye anle ba mu nasara muka samu 7th December aka fito aka yi voting muka samu muka ci mun jara muku sports stadia dan waye mun da ke bugun ball da ba su kudi mun biya su kudi mun jara shanin boxing da tennis komai yi kyau ta ba saban kelmagari a fafaruma man ya son Dr. Fred AkaPhari Awaah sonhorwa te NDC yete na yen wo in panga trenye vote te elections la tere wene to mal new stadium but te tabambo regions
you switch from Hausa to
Guru in the frafra to mal new stadium but te taba seban katare regions seban katare stadium la te mo be te ball mu ya king na seb obona Premier League mu ra ball git baka yoro hot la konyele ayi NDC la John Mahama yete to wana to boya allowance sebo about your ball mwera king nenga mabi dagbamba tamalnem za dem ya solo
dagbani
sahama paya ne yiyina nti vote okay yiti vote te National Democratic Congress kati Song Sports Development mpaya
yo Dr. Awaah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for joining us in the studio and telling us what the NDC has got in store. Yes. It's up to the people of Ghana to decide whether or not they want the NDC to come and do what you say they are going to do in sports. And on 7th December or after 7th December, we will know. We will know. Dr. Awaah is the NDC spokesperson for sports as far as the manifesto is concerned. Is joining us in the studio to tell us what the NDC has. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you
for joining us. You're still listening to The Morning Star. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.